All right. We are live. Robbie's not here, but we had to give the Robbie. We are live. Lee actually just joined us. That is huge. What's up, Lee? You came at the perfect time. All right.
Uh,
So, UFC 300 lived up to the hype. We'll get to everything, but first, we have to give a shout out to New Amsterdam Vodka. Okay, New Amsterdam tonight. I was at the live watch along event in New York City at Sucker Punch. Obviously, Big Ev, he was not able to come because he was at his boy's bachelor party. But the next one we're gonna have, it's gonna be Big Ev, it's gonna be Robbie, it's gonna be Jack Mack, and it's gonna be phenomenal. But it was phenomenal. We were watching at Sucker Punch and all fueled by New Amsterdam vodka. And I know a lot of people watching throughout America tonight were watching fueled by New Amsterdam vodka. Find your wins with New Amsterdam vodka. It was a phenomenal fight card. We saw New Amsterdam on the broadcast. We saw New Amsterdam left and right. It's, as Big F says, the best bang for your buck out there. I mean, he the double vodka Don lived off it in college. There's nothing else you could say except for that. New Amsterdam vodka. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. We are live and we have a lot to discuss. I think we start off the top at the top of the card, and we'll just say Alex Pereira, man. Uh, oh my
Def-
goodness, I doubted him. A lot of people doubted him. I had a lot of people that I respect their MMA opinion, and they just he. I was thinking about it. I was just like what he's done since he came to the UFC. It's unbelievable. And he did it again. Shout out to Alex Poton Pereira. Big Ev, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Poetan. What does it mean? Jack McLee. It means stone hands, death touch. He didn't land clean. He didn't land, or I'll say flush. He didn't land. He landed clean. He didn't land flush. That's. I mean, to do that to Jamal Hill, so impressive. The guy's unbelievable, and just a little that after he did it was stunning. And to not only to get kicked in the cup and just be like, "Nah, Herb, hold on, give me this will be done in about 5 seconds. Give me just 1 second, please, Herb. Bink, bink, boom, 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 night, night. I mean, it was ridiculous. He's a special talent. I mean, we thought he was a star before. That's like, I mean, I'm headlining the biggest card in the history of combat sports and knock him out like that in the first round. Special. Capped off a special night. I'm buzzing. The New Amsterdam Red Bull vodkas were flowing tonight. Min AC for a bachelor party. Shout out DraftKings. They took care of me and my boys. Had a big section at the sports book. We all were going nuts. Unbelievable night. Poetan. No, I think the next follow up to it is, does he get the headline 301? He didn't get touched.
There were some comments in the chat about UFC 301 Pereira finding out that there could be something here. Oh my God. It's hard to put into words what he's done since he got here. I know Izzy found a way to beat him in that, and when we saw him in Miami, but still, he was a glory kickbox. And even part of my handicapping for this fight was he's getting older, he's getting slower, he's getting whatnot, and he just made me look like a fool. And I think he made a lot of people look like a fool, and it's outrageous. It's hard to put into words, as I said. And man, I mean, he came in, he fought Bruno Silva, the Greek guy. What's his name?
Yeah, Machidalis, or however you say his name.
Michaelides.
And then he fought
Strickland,
knocked him out, and as we've seen Strickland, I mean, he's only gone up. Knocks out Izzy, gets knocked out again, goes up, beats Blachowicz, beats Jiri. We'll get to Jiri in a second. And now, I mean, I think The Izzy win will always be unbelievable. Well, what he just did to Jamal Hill, I really think is the most impressive thing he's done. He made him look like he flatlined him, and it wasn't an early stoppage. He was out. He was out.
We have breaking news. Islam Poirier headlining Newark UFC 302. Or co-main. Wait, what? Hold on, Rob. We're getting instant updates from Rob Fox.
Whoa! Conor versus Chandler confirmed. We just confirmed it. Conor versus Chandler confirmed. Lee is now tweeting it out from Spinning Backfist, so we'll get to Lee in a second.
Hold on. So let me give. They were literally coming in sequence. So, Conor Chandler won at 170, June 29, 303. Islam Poirier headlining the UFC 302 in Newark, with Strickland versus Costa as the co-main event, 5 rounds, via Dana at the presser as we speak. Wow. Islam Poirier. Wow. Strickland Costa.
So,
wow. The king of the UFC, Conor McGregor, is back. Wow.
So,
wow.
Before we continue on what happened tonight, do you think it was a little weird that they knew Conor versus Chandler, they didn't make it a big thing, or did they not want to take away from the card?
I think that's got to be it, Jack.
Okay.
I think that's my instinct. That's my gut. I think that it was so special. They wanted to let all these guys have their moment. Now the fight's over. Boom. Look forward to the 303 in end of June. Well, I mean, what a June and May. Special month. 2 great pay-per-views. I know me and Jack are definitely planning on going to 302 in Newark for sure. That's a great main and co-main. Already some good matchups on that card as well. Wow. I'm buzzing. I didn't think that I could get better. It just got better.
How the fuck did this get better?
Strickland versus Costa is awesome, bro.
5 rounds too. Great fight.
We gotta lock Strickland and Islam in a room together now. The content that is gonna come out,
bro.
Think about this, Lee. At the presser, Strickland's the A side. He's higher ranked. It'll be literally Islam and Strickland, literally like hip to hip.
Hell yeah.
and then Poirier Costa on the other side.
I also don't want to take away from this new fight. Obviously, the Mac is back, Conor, but it's not a title fight. And whoever was on the train that was riding with me, that I bet that Conor McGregor wouldn't be in a title fight when he returns, I want my money. This is an old beef that we are rehashing right now.
Show yourselves. Pay his money.
Unbelievable. What is there even to say? Like, it's just it came with it. We were discussing the Poton. We saw the boom, boom, boom. Robbie is, because as you guys can tell, Robbie is not here, and Robbie, he's at the Dana White press conference. He'll join us after. Obviously, we got to hear from Robbie regarding McGregor. It's happened, but Poton, just to go back. So what's next for Poton? Is it Ankalaev, you think? Yeah.
I think it almost has to be. Because Yuri, I think Yuri has a great case for another shot as well. But honestly, I mean, I think so. But I just don't think he took too much damage, I think, to fight in a month. But I wonder if Ankalaev will turn around that fast. I mean, what was it? What is it? May 4th? Is it? What day is it?
Yeah, I think that's the date. But like Robbie, Robbie also said that apparently Pereira broke his toes like a couple weeks before the fight. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Obviously, that would be kind of pushing it. But I've also heard rumblings that they're going back to Brazil a second time this year.
Oh,
so potentially we could get Poton in Brazil at a later date for it. So.
I like that.
Okay, that's cool. That's what we want to see. Poton with the broken toe. You said, is that what you said?
That's what Robbie texted.
Okay, so That probably
He did. I'm pretty sure after the knockout, when he was in the cage, I could have swore he reached down and like grabbed his toes.
Anik said something about it on the after show.
There was a moment where he like reached down and was like playing with his toes, that there was something wrong. So it makes sense.
When he went like this, I went from, oh man, bad bet on Jamal Hill to like, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
He was
Same.
I just the next fight that we should definitely go to, we'll get to all the fight announcements after in terms of like who we like in the sides and whatnot. But the knockout that happened in round 5, Max Holloway pointing to the middle of the cage and Justin Gaethje coming, and then them going punch for punch. And then I don't know if there's a better knockout I've ever seen, considering their circumstances. UFC 300, the way he fell, and it's not even oh man, I'm embarrassed for Gaethje. No, he just like he went out on a sword. I think this is more a look at how amazing Max Holloway looked tonight than Justin Gaethje's washed.
I mean, am I nuts? Like that was like maybe I'm gonna sound crazy. I feel like that was like one of the best moments in the history of the UFC. I mean,
agreed.
Like you said, UFC 300, biggest card, BMF title fight, 2 absolute gladiators. Wars. If you are a fan of this sport, you have to respect these 2 guys. And let me say, Max Holloway to be comfortably up 5-0 in this fight, in my opinion. I saw a few people saying 4-1. I mean, I thought it was 5-0. I know he dropped him. What was it, the 4th round? But I mean, he won the rest of the round regardless. I mean, comfortably winning 5-0, and says, "Let me stand in the center of the cage with Justin Gaethje and trade nuclear missiles of hands," and puts him to sleep, crumples him at the buzzer. One of the best knockouts, maybe the best knockout in UFC history. One of the best moments, in my opinion, in UFC history. Literally epitomizing what the BMF belt stands for. Not playing it safe, not saying I'm just going to dance around the cage, which so many people would have done, taking their incredible win. He stands and knocks him unconscious. I mean, I couldn't breathe after. I'm still like shaking thinking about it. I haven't stopped watching the highlight over and over and over again. It will live in infamy forever. And I mean, I don't even know what else to say. It was just like, it was special. That was like a remember where you were thing. That was truly special. And I'm just glad that a lot of people were tuned into this card that don't normally watch UFC and MMA. Because that was the biggest thing in sports like this week. I mean, by far, like what can you, just incredible. God bless both those guys.
And the fact it happened with 2 seconds left, and obviously Holloway was on his way to win that fight, and we all knew that. But it was just epitome of, obviously there's fights in it. We kick off with Bo Nickal. We'll get to him. There's some, grappling and whatnot, but Max Holloway pointing at the middle of the ring, a la what he said against Poirier back in the day, and then they both come, and oh my goodness gracious, I agree with you, Ev. I walked off for a second, but wait, Lee, what happened?
No, I was just gonna say like just 2 things. One, like Max Holloway is immortalized now with that. Like it's 100% that is going to be like the lasting thing that comes out of UFC 300 probably, that is going to be etched in stone for all the highlight videos that are ever going to come out after this. He is a legend. It was legendary what he did tonight. That will just live on forever, and it is awesome to see.
So I'm thinking best moments in the history of the UFC. Leon, obviously.
Of course.
And I think Max is right there, dude. Like I think Leon you may put ahead, but it's right there because Leon's was he pulled the sword out of the fire, as John Anik said, and whatnot. But it's right there. Jorge Nee, as Mitt Romney just said. It's one of
I would say Adesanya, KO, and Pereira was up there as well. I would say too.
Yeah.
Jorge Nee's good.
There's some I mean, we're even putting aside Connor. I even think of
Conor Alvarez.
Yeah,
was special. First fight in New York. That was up there for sure. Special moment. A lot of special moments.
But man, I hope Justin Gaethje's okay and whatnot. But like, even the way he fell, it almost I couldn't believe it. I was on round 3, round 4, round 5, and I was just like, Max was close, but he didn't get it. He didn't finish it, and then when it happened, I was like, did that just happen? Like it felt like it wasn't going to count.
I need to get one of my friends took like a video of me and a bunch of my friends' reaction. I need to get it somehow. I need to ask him if he can. He took it on like Snapchat. It was so funny that we were in we had kind of our own section. There was like another section over, and another guy that we're screaming at the TV. He had Holloway big, all this runs over. We just jumped. He jumped on me, hugged each other. My friend asked me, he goes, "Oh, were you talking to that guy before?" I said, "No idea who that guy is." We just had a moment. Of having Max Holloway 29-1 round 5, and just having a money line KO the whole 9.
And I will say, it was a last second cash. That was a great bet. Round 3, round 4, round 5, and I get it. He cashed in the last second. That was a great bet. He had him on skates the entire time. And Justin Gaethje, he found that a little groove late in the 4th, but in respect to Gaethje, I mean, it's tough. He's a little bit older. You look at Gaethje's age, you look at Holloway's age. How do you feel about Holloway against Pereira?
I was talking to some of my friends about this. It's tough because I felt that he put on such good weight for this fight. Like I thought he looked so much better than he looked against Poirier. Not just in the cage the way he was fighting, but just like physically when he walked in the cage, I was like, yo, he looks big. On the scale, I thought it, like ceremonial weigh-ins, I thought it in the cage, I was like, he looks big. I wouldn't be shocked if he weighed 180 pounds tonight. 175. I mean, he looked big. There was no like real size difference than Gaethje. I almost thought like arguably he maybe looked bigger. I mean, he looked huge, and he had power. I mean, that spinning kick he landed at the end of the first round that broke his nose. That was obviously it played a huge factor in him winning this fight. I think he probably wins it regardless, but obviously played a huge factor in winning it. He landed a few of those. I think they saw something in film or something, and he was just drilling that. Because there was a few times when Gaethje would tuck like that, would go down, he was throwing it and landing it. He obviously landed cleanest the first time, but I mean, what a fight. Going off what you said, Gaethje is an absolute legend. I mean, like the reason that it takes 2 to tango, and obviously on this, he's the highlight. He's been on the other side of some of the best highlights also in UFC history. Obviously, I mean, his last fight. I mean, his Poirier knockout was incredible. He has a million of them. But him having the balls to say, I'm going to go for it. And if I die, I die. And it happened. But, I mean, what a legend. Respect to Gaethje. I mean, I know we had he's beef with Dave and all that, but just what an unbelievable fight. Both guys. I mean, he never at any point wanted out when he was getting picked apart, getting hurt badly a bunch. Never wanted out. Stayed in it. Was pushing action in the 4th round when he couldn't breathe out of his nose for the whole time. Just unbelievable. So glad Max got $600K. He deserved it. Fight of the night, performance of the night. Just give Max all the money. This should be one of those when like Pettis and some of these guys say they got like $1 million checks. Just give Holloway like all the money. Just give this dude all the money. All the money.
Now, Max is pretty dead set on fighting Ilya next, but the Chael and Bisping tonight, we're talking about this, like defending the BMF belt now. And I agree with you, Ev, where he looked a lot better tonight because I think of that weight gain and how it was done correctly. And I kind of wanted him to stay at 55 for his next fight before coming back down. I think you do Holloway in a stadium versus Topuria. So whether that be Spain or Vegas or wherever, you do that in a stadium. But what about Oliveira versus Holloway next at 155 for the BMF?
Wow. I'm gonna be honest. It'd be a rematch. I honestly, I hadn't really considered that, and I really like the way it sounds. So I wanted to throw something. I wanted to throw something at you, this at you guys too. I was bouncing off some of my friends. I'm just curious how you guys feel about it. Is there a word where he gets a shot at Islam? Is that the craziest thing ever? I'm not saying he wins or loses. I'm just saying getting the shot. Just talking getting the shot.
Let's be honest. If Dustin Poirier is getting a shot after beating BSD, then I think 100% you can say that Max Holloway deserves a shot to fight Islam next.
I mean, he just picked apart and knocked out cold the number 2 contender, 2 ranked, second ranked contender, and just beat him up for 5 rounds and then put him to sleep. I mean, former champion. I mean, one of the best featherweights of all time. Looked great. I mean, I don't know how you could say he's not at least in the discussion.
I think he very much is. I think he very much is. I'm with you, Ev. I would rather have him stay around at 55. Like, he is going to be like the second or third ranked guy come Monday. So at 55, and he's going to be like the second ranked guy at 45 too. He's right there for both weight classes. It's whatever Max wants to do. I think he does Topuria. He was pretty set on it, but man, he could go for Islam too.
Also, it would be a very funny narrative to continue going if Islam just keeps somehow getting like featherweights.
Yeah.
His only like defense ends up being like Poirier, like a true like 155er. But no, I'm still buzzing from it. I don't know how I'm gonna sleep after that. No. It was one of those where I had a moment where I was like, I started to like come down a little bit, and I was like, hold on a second. I was like, we have 2 more title fights. Like I was like that was the card. Like I'm like, what a great night. I was like, oh fuck.
I remember even on the prelims thinking we had Aljamain Sterling fighting in the second to last prelim on ESPN, and then we had Jiri Prochazka fighting on the main event prelim. I mean, that's crazy to think about. We gave some shit about UFC 300. They really did a great job. I mean, I think it was a card that really lived up to the hype. And speaking of Oliveira and whatnot, did you guys agree with the decision on Oliveira against Sarukian? I was definitely a little bit heartbroken from the fact that, I had a lot of fight doesn't go distance in parlays, but still, the both of them put on pretty good fight. And I would say both stocks are kind of the same at where I valued them at.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I bet Charles. It was had a little by KO too, which was obviously never really came into play at all. I almost had 2 submissions. Yeah, I was heartbroken more. Like I love Charles, my bet as well, but I wasn't like, oh, that was a robbery or something. Like it was could have went either way. I thought Charles won the first. Arman won the second. Round 3, Charles almost steals it at the end with the Darce. Yeah, so I mean, I don't listen. Arman definitely is worthy of a title shot as well, for sure. And obviously him and Islam have history. That would be an incredible stylistic matchup. But yeah, I mean, really, really close fight. So I don't think I wasn't like, oh, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy that Arman won. Close fight. Could have went either way. Split decision made sense.
I gave Charles 1, Arman 2, 3, and I understand why you could say, wait, sorry, I said Charles 1, Arman 2, 3. I could see why you would want, or you could give Charles round 3, but I understood that he got the decision. I wonder if Islam avoids him, in all honesty, even as an Islam guy. I think he kind of looks at him as the fact he got out of that choke was unbelievable. Talk about, I don't know if I want to call it grit. Maybe it was just he was lucky enough to be at a certain angle, but the fact he didn't tap at that. If you show us a photo before that fight of Charles, what he had in round 1, the fight, I mean, all of us would be, oh, fight's over. I mean, to get out of that is Arman's is a gamer, and we know that about Charles, but you know, I would say my respect of Arman went up a little bit, even though still my stock of him is the same.
Honestly, I was really just kind of fantasizing a moment of the scenes if Charles had just put him to sleep with a choke inside like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The scenes if he had done that. Oh my God. So close. But you know, Arman's an absolute stud. Big time. He should get a title shot. He really should. And I agree with you. I think Islam probably doesn't want that because he knows that's probably the worst matchup for him, maybe in the whole division.
Yeah, outside of, I would say he's worse than Gamrot, but Gamrot's right there, and he's and I would just say I wouldn't be surprised if he never really wants to fight him. I think if I was Islam, my ideal night would have been Charles, and Charles isn't an easy matchup for him either. I think he would prefer Charles to Arman, but Charles, I think he would have preferred those two guys to go away, and I think he would have definitely preferred Gaethje to win, because I think he knows if he could have gone Poirier, Gaethje, and then just kind of like, who knows, he could have rode off into the sunset just like Khabib and just been like, hey, I did what I had to do and that was it. But now we're kind of at this point where it'll be interesting to see what happens after the Poirier fight. I think we'll get to it at the end of the show, but I think he'll take care of business there. But after that, Arman's right there, and what we saw Arman do to Islam even in that first fight is, I mean, Arman's only gotten better. Islam's gotten better as well, but still, we've been talking about it on this show for a while. Islam doesn't want Arman.
Arman, that fight was on short notice. I think at the time he was like 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
He was really young. The only thing I was going back to the Gamrot thing, the only reason I think Arman's a worse matchup, I think he has more pop in his hands.
Yeah.
I think he's got more power. I think his striking's a little better. I would give Arman better striking. Grappling's kind of like we saw the way. I mean, they had like a world-class grappling match against each other in that fight. So yeah, I think Arman's a little more dangerous, but Gamrot definitely would be like a tough matchup too because he can just grapple so well. Yeah,
both those matchups are matchups I would love to see. I don't know if Islam would be down for them.
Yeah.
And like, I would understand if I would even understand if he beats Poirier and he's like, I'm finished, brother.
I mean, I almost Gaethje, if Gaethje had won, that would have been like the most, like I would have been, Islam sub like max bet. Even if it could have been minus like 150, I would have done it. Like Gaethje was getting, if he fights Islam, like he's getting tapped if he doesn't get like ground and pound submitted or ground and pound finished.
And I think Islam would have been then, so that would have been one. That would have been two. That would have been 4 title defenses if he beats Poirier and then Gaethje, and then he could have been like, oh, I'm finished. And then he could have just rode off into the sunset. I don't know. It seems like he's ready to go. There's been some fights out of the Nurmagomedov up school. I'm trying to think of what did you think of Bo Nickal tonight? Oh, or actually, Lee, did you have any thoughts on any of the fights we just discussed?
Just real quick. I think that 2 things about Islam. He's going to obviously do this fight. He's going to do a fight in Abu Dhabi. And then I think there's one more possibly going up to 170 against Leon, like at some point in 2025. I think that like that makes sense stylistically. I agree with you that he doesn't have many fights left, but that's like kind of the route that I'm seeing with it. Transitioning into Bo Nickal, he was hard on himself tonight, but I had no reason why he would do that because he beat Cody Brundage and how you beat Cody Brundage, and he did it in a way that he looked better and he showed more than he ever did before in the UFC. So it was absolutely a win-win for us and for him, and I think he looked really good tonight.
Yeah, I was not disappointed. It's interesting. Like I was even watching at a bar where, I mean, I don't want to ever shit on casuals because casuals make the sport. They pay our bills, like, and whatnot. But there was some disappointment about Bo Nickal and whatnot. And I was just kind of like, I mean, I think his cardio held up. He got some takedowns and he found a submission and he did what he had to do. I do feel a little bit like, I don't know. It's like you think of Bo Nickal running through a Cody Brundage, but he did the next best thing. He's still just as high to me. I think he needs to, and I think the UFC is doing the right thing. The idea that he would win a belt in 2024 is insane. I don't even know if he'll win a belt in 2025. That's fine. I mean, he's what, 28, 29? It's like he continues to go on. He continues to work on striking. It'll be interesting to see what's next for him, but you know, I agree with you, Lee. He did what he had to do.
I agree with you guys. The guy, he looked good. I mean, listen, it's one of those things you can't. No disrespect to like Val Woodburn, but you can't just like fight. He's not going to just fight Val Woodburns all the time. Like as you climb up, like you're going to see a little more resistance. You're going to have guys that can actually like defend it a little bit, defend the hands. Like Brundage did a good job of that in the first round. Like was able to like have good positioning, like not let him take his back. I mean, yeah, I actually give respect to Brundage. Like he went in there. He gave it a fair effort. He held up better than most people thought he would. Him calling a Fluffy Hernandez was interesting because I love the fight, but I think that might be a bad idea for one Mr. Bo Nickal. Right now, for sure. I think it's not a great idea. I think that would be a treacherous fight for him. Really tough. If he beat Fluffy in his next fight, I'd be like, bro, you're a monster. You're a monster. I don't think give me Fluffy plus money, max. And if he loses, he loses. Fuck it.
The Spinning Back Fist podcast will be there no matter what. Yes. Like we like this is actually good from Mitt Romney, famous chat member. He's been here forever. Andre Muniz, I think that's a decent fight for him. Jay Spezzi or Jay Peasy was saying dude's fighting trash. Here's the thing. This was his sixth fight in his MMA professional career. He didn't really have an amateur career. You go and look at all the who's who of fighting at their sixth fight. Cody Brundage would, and there's some guys out there that would be like, maybe you fought somebody in your sixth fight and that person turned out to be really, really good. But most of the guys, like, I mean, Khabib was fighting guys that, like, they may be fake. Like, they may not be real human beings. And we're just like, I think Bo is just doing on a grander stage. And I'm interested to see. I think truly you have to give him some time. And it's weird because we saw him booed. There was some booing tonight. And maybe that's the UFC's plan, but it's interesting on a look at beyond just analyzing who he is as a fighter, but just how to build a star. What were you going to say, Lee? Sorry.
No, I was going to say, how do we feel about where was he? How do we feel about Shabazian for next fight?
I feel like that's a bad matchup for Shabazian.
Yeah,
maybe I'm off there, but I just think I don't know. I just feel like that doesn't go well for Shabazian.
Yeah,
It is a name though. That's the only reason why I put it out there. It's like it
Did,
is like a name that some people like would know. And
I
like
thought, my bad, God, Lee, go ahead, Lee.
no, I was just gonna finish that. Like Shabazian is like a bigger name. Like some people that like don't like follow it like halfway would be like, oh, I remember this guy. Like he's still young. He's a striker. Like more so than like actually skills. Because I don't think they're going to give him fluffy, and I don't think that they're going to build him up slow. Like as Bo said, like they're going to give him like a better guy each time. So
I disagree with MPI. You're one of the sharpest members of the game in our chat. The expectations for Bo Nickal, I think, are a little bit higher than Edmund Shabazian. On that, we're going to bring in Robbie Fox straight off of the Dana White press conference, and here he is, Robbie
There
Fox.
he is.
The Mac is back. The Mac is back.
The king is
Mac
back.
is back. Look, I got T-Mobile Arena right behind me. How scenic. The view. What a night. What a night. UFC 300 lived up to the hype. I'm sure you guys have already talked about the Max Holloway knockout. He's in there right now. He just said this is the second greatest night of his career, next to knocking out Jose Aldo, or finishing Jose Aldo in Rio. He's like, going to Rio and beating the king of Rio, that was number one. That'll always be number one. But this is number two. And yeah, like you mentioned, Dana just finished his presser. The Mac is back. Surprise, surprise. He said that they actually got the deal done today. Someone asked him, was there any chance you were going to do a special announcement on the pay-per-view? And he said, no, it was all internet rumors, bullshit, because it was so last minute and they got it done today. Also announced, as you guys probably mentioned already, Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev, Newark. He said there were a lot of options for Islam that they considered, like up to the last minute, and they wound up going with Poirier. The funniest moment of the presser was at the end when a reporter from China was like, Dana, I don't know if you knew this, but the co-main event did 30 billion views in China. And Dana was just going like this. He goes, hell yeah. He goes, where are you from, sir? And the guy goes, China. And he goes, yeah, no, I figured that. What outlet are you from? That was really funny. The power went out during the presser. I don't know how much of that people saw. Like the lights stayed on, but all of the mics and camera systems went off. And Dana was like, fuck it. I'll answer a question. Like, just yell it out. And someone started yelling about power slap, and they were like, they said, you said a power slap last night, you know, Conor McGregor, whatever. He's like, oh, fuck, as soon as the mics are out, someone brings up power slap. Put the mics back on. He was in a great mood. He said that 300 is one of his favorite cards he ever put on. Someone asked about the Sphere. They said Eddie Hearn, you know, they want to put on the Amanda Serrano-Katie Taylor rematch at the Sphere, possibly as early as June. And he's like, Eddie Hearn is my friend. I consider him a friend. Tell you what, that ain't happening. He goes, they could run in October after us. It's not happening. He was so, like, dead set on that will not happen. But, yeah, do you guys think 300 lived up to the hype? Because I definitely do.
Yes.
It exceeded the hype.
Yeah, agreed.
We opened it by saying, with a smile on our face, with New Amsterdam and whatnot, just saying that was a phenomenal card, and everything about it was awesome. And then we'll clip it out and whatnot. But when you were sending the text and whatnot, when he was announcing the fights, McGregor, Islam, the smiles on our faces were huge.
Bro, Strickland Costa 5-round co-main event. That's fucking crazy. It feels like the last Newark card that we went to, it was a good card, but it wasn't like a great card. It feels like they were like, oh, we're going to give Newark one for that.
Yeah, it was Aljo Cejudo.
Yeah.
It was instant. We were giddy, Bob. It was like, we'll be there no matter. It was literally, I was like reading your text in the bubble as they were popping up. I was like, Islam Poirier, oh my God. But it was like, what do you know, Connor?
Also, I thought we were getting an announcement on the pay-per-view because they took Chandler and his wife from their seats right before the main event. Like, it was like round 5 of the co-main event. I look over and I see Chandler and his wife get up and go backstage, and I was like, oh, it's happening. I was saying to everyone around us, like, do you see they got Chandler up? I think he must have had to just take a shit or something.
What if they signed it then?
Oh, maybe.
Imagine,
That'd be nuts. It was literally like right before the main event, like, hey, Connor said, yes, sign on the dotted line. That was also, I got escorted like to the tent back here through the backstage area. The most fighters and celebrities I've ever seen in my life. Chuck Liddell chopping it up with everyone. BJ Penn was back there. Miles Teller chopping it up with Megan O'Leary and Joe Benavidez. People laughing. Jared Leto's back there. His brother's back there. It was crazy tonight. I expected Trump to get a walk-in at some point. I was like, this is such a big card. I thought American Badass was going to hit, and the right-wing Avengers, as Joe Rogan calls them, were going to walk out.
I'm kind of surprised that 45 didn't show up.
So am I. He's such a fight fan. I mean, Zuck showed up, the other biggest fight fan on the planet.
You mentioned that Islam had a lot of options. Who could have the other options been?
I don't know.
Were
they saying if Gaethje wins tonight?
Yeah, and then I was thinking Charles, Arman. Maybe he was saying if either of them had a great finish. Maybe that's why they waited to quote unquote announce it, even though there was a lot of rumors within like the MMA Twitter community of that Poirier Islam fight for a minute, because even Poirier was kind of teasing at it on his Twitter and his Instagram.
Yeah. It was crazy, dude. Fighter Row too was like, it was cool looking over and seeing it just keep grow and grow and grow. Every time I looked over, there was another like A-list fighter joining Fighter Row.
Yeah, Dricus got dubbed hard. They showed
dubbed?
They showed Sugar, and it was they showed Sugar. He was wearing the crazy pink fur coat.
Yep.
The sunglasses that have it just goes straight across.
Yeah.
And then Dricus was just standing directly next to him. Just didn't even it was like he was just like, me or you standing there. Like it was just like whatever.
I didn't even notice that. I did notice. I felt bad for a lot of the celebrities they showed, because like unless you're a sick fighter, you're not getting a reaction. It's like. They showed like the bass player from Rage Against the Machine, who in my world is a fucking god, and I swear you could hear crickets. Like it was nobody knew who the fuck he was. It was crazy.
They don't give a fuck about Kyler Murray.
They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck about like Jared Leto. Like there's these A-list actors, and people are just like whatever. And then they'll show like Valentina Shevchenko, and the place erupts.
She was sitting next to Kyler Murray.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was like Kyler Murray, and then it was like Valentina's like
yeah.
Crazy pop.
Cool that they showed some of the legends that I didn't expect them to show. Hoist Gracie, BJ Penn, like some people that you don't fucking Chael and Anderson Silva, the first fight going into the Hall of Fame, great selection, all time, almost to the level of the Max Holloway fight tonight, where it's like the fight was going one way. Well, Max was winning the whole fight tonight, but just the last minute comeback of Anderson, crazy. I'm happy for Chael too. First time going in the Hall of Fame for him.
On that talk of legends, it was awesome that Dana and the fighters, and they went in with Mark Coleman and that walkout, and then Mark Coleman doing the belt ceremony for the BMF. Awesome, 100% needed, and it capped off an awesome night, especially with that fight.
Agreed.
Yeah,
his walkout with his daughters, they played Foo Fighters' My Hero. Like, oh, what a perfect song to know the moment. Someone asked about Mark Coleman at the presser, too. Another funny moment from the presser. They were like, hey, Dana, the stuff with Mark Coleman was amazing tonight. Obviously, he's a hero. Dana corrected him. He goes, no, he's a superhero. And, the nerd in me was like, fuck yeah, Dana, superhero. And then they were like, are you going to continue this, like, kind of collaboration with Mark Coleman? Is he going to be around? Dana was like, nah. After he did that, fuck him. Let's kick him to the curb. Of course we're going to do it with Mark Coleman. He's like, he's the nicest guy ever. He's battled demons. He's beat the demons. He's still beating the demons. Dana was like cutting a promo on his behalf. Dana was like giddy. He's as giddy as we are tonight. He's so happy with how the night went. He was also saying, I don't know if you mentioned this, that Holloway was on the phone with Gaethje. And he said as soon as he found out he's in the hospital or whatever and was able to talk, Holloway just wanted to talk to him. They talked about the fight. First thing Holloway said when he got to the presser or the tent back here was like, give it up to Justin Gaethje. That guy's the real bad motherfucker. And Dana said the welt on Holloway's leg is like, he was looking for something on the table to be like, it's this big. And he said nothing on the table was that big.
Unreal.
Unbelievable.
I was gonna say the only fight we haven't talked about in the main card yet was the co-main event, which was
good fight, but how do you follow that?
Oh man, that was just personally, that was, I think I've said this many times in many different sports. I've placed thousands of bets. I'll place thousands more. That was, I think, the Waylay by sub was the single worst beat I've ever had. She was
Just
asleep.
she subbed her.
She
Yeah.
was asleep, unconscious.
Yeah.
Jason Herzog should be investigated.
Bro, Uriah Faber
Unbelievable.
had to sit her down in the corner. Her corner was closest to me, and she was so out of it. He had to basically grab her and kind of push her down into her seat. Okay,
She
chill out for a
didn't-
second.
They showed an angle on the pay-per-view broadcast. She didn't know where she was. And
No,
obviously,
she tried to go to the other corner first.
She went
I-
limp. She was limp.
I don't
She had no
know.
quit in her though. I know that it was a bad beat, but credit to her for fighting the next 4 fucking rounds, dropping Zhang and everything. I was really impressed with her tonight.
No, Yanjinan, nothing but respect. And I'm in the same boat as Ev. It was just you do everything right. You bet it perfectly. And she's asleep. And what are you supposed to say?
And then they just wake her up, and they're like, "All right, time for round 2."
And
They're saying Herzog helped her up.
yeah,
Oh man, I mean, she literally couldn't stand. And then just the second round, same thing. I mean, she ground and pound. She had the arm triangle.
she had another choke. Yeah,
Oh man, I mean that was what killed her because she squeezed her arms out.
yeah.
Her arm, even though I think it was the third or fourth round when it started, she's going like this. She's trying to fucking wave her arms out. I was like, oh god, just brutal.
Can you guys still see me? Am I still on this?
you're
Can hear you,
black
can't
now.
see you.
We can't see you.
Fuck, hold on. I'm gonna get it back. Hold on.
Jason Herzog quote tweeted a tweet tonight from us. I tweeted out, "Is Jason Herzog on cigarettes and alcohol tonight?" And he said caffeine and kale.
Wait.
Oh, that's a good response. That's not too bad.
He quote tweeted it from Spinning Backfist.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Speaking of Spinning Backfist tweets, Aljamain Cater. Aljamain, I thought I was impressed by him from just a betting perspective, and he did what he had to do. I don't think he did what he had to do to get a championship fight like he said he wanted to get. You're back, Robbie, kind of. Yep, you're
Thank
back.
God. Okay.
We
all
can
right,
see
good.
you. And Aljamain looked great. It was kind of he did go for it late in the third. I was really shocked that he didn't get a TV interview, even one. I was a little. This guy was a champion for a decent amount of time, and I'm not even the biggest Aljamain guy out there, and man, I was shocked.
He should have got one. I agree with you. First, even though the performance wasn't great, first time at 145, former champ, like you said, a big name, polarizing name, obviously, but a big name at this point. He should have gotten one.
What do I thought it might have been a time thing.
It might have been.
Because
I don't know. There was still there's still one fight to go, and there was 27 minutes or something.
Because it was on. The only reason I say that was because it obviously was on main ESPN, and they're thinking there's a chance we need to squeeze a whole another 15-minute fight potentially in here. Obviously, it didn't go 15 minutes, and I'm sure we'll get into that fight next. But yeah, I thought he should have got one too. But I was trying to think maybe it was just a time thing.
Yeah, and it's so much more strict on how to get the commercials in and whatnot. So I even said it in the tweet that I tweeted out from Spinning Backfits, hey, maybe that was just for TV time and ESPN, but still. And maybe they said that to Aljo. Did anybody ask that, Robbie?
No, someone asked about the pacing though. Someone said it seemed like tonight you were trying to fit in more advertisers than ever before, and the card suffered a bit because of it. The lady said the card felt slow, and Dana was slow. He's like, lady, have you ever been to a boxing fight? There's 45 fucking minutes in between those fights. He wasn't happy about that one. Yeah.
I thought the pacing was great.
I thought it was too. It felt like every time a fight was over, we had another one ready to go.
And obviously they have the packages in between fights for the main fights. But speaking of big fights on ESPN, Jiri Prochazka, I mean, I thought he was dead. The way he was acting with those leg kicks in the first round. Jiri Prochazka, I mean, truly a meme victory. But even saying that, that's just what he does.
He's a samurai, bro. Don't say he's not a samurai. That's the biggest mistake you'd make.
That was the old Yuri special.
Yeah.
Just madman walking forward with his hands down. I mean, his leg was toast in like 30 seconds, it felt like.
Yes.
Almost
Yes.
instantly. It was cooked. He's switching stances, which he does do that a lot, pretty much every fight. But I mean, Rakic had touched him a few times. But I mean, that was Yuri got performance of the night, $300K for him. God bless. I mean, that was an incredible fight. Great fight for the prelim headliner. And I mean, it was basically what you expected, carnage in that matchup, and you got it. Rakic is a beast too. Good. I mean, he got caught. Yuri hits like a truck. Also, Yuri. I mean, it's funny because Yuri has shown to be chinny at times, like in the Glover fight. But he's it's weird to say he's like chinny and durable at the same time. He like gets wobbled, but he just doesn't like. I feel like he gets wobbled every fight. Even
They had no reaction to this fight. It was like
in the Dom Reyes fight, he like got hit with a bunch of like straight lefts, and he always just was like hurt but stayed in there at the same time.
There was a moment, I've never seen this before. I think it was the second round. It felt like he got knocked out on his feet, and he recovered so quickly that he was just back to normal. Like they came together, and then he just he was knocked out for a second, and then he was just, I'm back.
He has the fastest reboot in the game. He could hit reboot, and he's back like instantly. I in my blog I said about not only Jim Miller and Bobby Green, the way they ended their fight, pointing down, Max Holloway style, but this fight, they understood the assignment. 300, the assignment was violence, and they got it. And that was classic Yuri. You go in there, you get lit up a little bit, you fucking take it on the chin, walk right through it. Eventually, he knew he was going to land the shot, and he landed it. And then I liked his post-fight interview, too, when they were like, were you really upset at him saying you're not a samurai? He's like, no, I guess I'm not the samurai for real, but I tried to think like that.
Also, the guy in the chat just said that him just standing in front of T-Mobile last night is so funny.
So funny. I said he was scoping
Just
at the battlefield,
there.
like on the eve of the battle.
Just picture like a dark glare comes over. He's just standing there like, this is where I'm going. We're going to war tomorrow.
It's probably what I look like right now. I'm like out here. It's just like people are definitely looking at me. Like the people that are leaving right now are looking at me like, who are you talking to on the phone there? The boys, the fellas. Come on.
Have we not hit? Obviously, there's so many things, and we can continue to hit. It's 3 a.m. on the East Coast. I'm trying to think of
I'd say Kayla Harrison.
Kayla,
dominant.
Really good. Very impressive. Very impressive. And at first, things were a little shaky at first. Holly kind of takes her down. I'm thinking, oh shit, I didn't.
That was weird. Weird that Holly clinched in the first place.
I was, oh my god, is this going to become like a fraud checking? I was like, but then immediately reversed that.
Yeah, very quickly.
It went from a fraud checking to, oh no, this is a mauling of a top contender in the division. And I mean, I think I would say like a very, very, very high chance that she gets the next shot at the title.
It's gonna,
no doubt.
I almost don't know how she doesn't. Yeah, I mean,
the way Dana was talking about at the presser, he wants that Amanda Nunes fight so bad.
Oh, dude, that'd be unreal. But what would they do though? Would they do it at 145? Like, what do you?
No, he was saying it.
Pennington has the belt.
Yeah, someone said that to Dana. They were like, Pennington has the belt, and he in a like non-disrespectful way was almost like, yeah, we'll do that fight when Kayla gets the belt from her. Like he was like, because he loved Amanda Nunes' video where she put out a video. She was intrigued by the post-fight and stuff. He's like, I loved that. I thought she retired too early. If she wants to get back, we'll do that fight. And someone said like, well, what about the belt? And he's like, yeah, we'll do that like when the title's on the line for it. And someone said, I think it was actually Jose Young's, my guy, said, oh, and also Chris Cyborg tweeted that she would like that fight. Like, huh. And he just moved on.
It was the best sometimes.
It was pretty funny.
A Nunes Harrison would be a huge fight. Huge fight.
Huge. And they're like, they're friends. I know they were going to, that was originally when like Nunes lost to Pena. There was the shot of Kayla Harrison in the crowd. Everyone's like, oh, she's devastated because she lost that fight. Like, they want that fight, but they both trained at ATT, and Nunes did. That'll be really interesting to see, like, if will their friendship deteriorate? Will they stay friends and be respectful about it? I don't know.
Unreal. Also,
Kayla
too,
looked great, though. She looked better than I thought she was going to. I thought Holly was going to at least give her like a little bit of trouble. She didn't.
I think everybody was putting a little too much into like the weight cut,
Yeah.
where like the UFC 100% made sure like they did a test cut with Kayla,
Yeah.
and like they made sure that she could make 135 before they ever signed her. So I think people were putting like a little too much into that than like actually doing it. Like Holly looked really old tonight for like the first time, and I think a long time. Like obviously she got subbed by who is it? She got subbed in her
Mario Bueno
last.
Silva.
Yes.
Yep.
But I don't. But she was winning before that. Tonight, that was just not the case at all.
Dana said he wants her to retire.
Makes sense. I mean, she's
Yeah.
old. I mean, you lose a
There's
fight.
probably
that
fights she could
dominantly.
win still, but like, yeah, it's like, what do you want to fight at the bottom of the division? Like, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
Also, Dana doesn't want to pay.
yeah, I mean, you get
She probably makes a bank at this point, right?
a lot
Yes.
of money for
Yeah.
what have become pretty boring fights.
Also, to be expected, but he did say he's going to hook up like a lot of the fighters that didn't get bonuses tonight. Like he said, like Kayla and Diego, and he rattled off a list of the fighters that didn't get them, and he's like, I'll hook them up. Yeah, I would just assuming, I don't know anything else, I would assume they'll all get like a 50K bonus.
At least,
Yeah.
probably more.
And that was
Before we-
funny too. After the Holloway fight, he came over to the press row just to be like, "Oh my god!" And I just went to him. I was like, two bonuses." He was like, "Yes." He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I can't imagine what would have to happen in the next two fights for that not to happen." And he just walked away like in a fury.
Before we go, Diego Lopes. Oh my God, Big Ev's guy since day one. I was on Sodiq Yusuff off. I mean, it was just like it just fell apart right away. And Diego Lopes, what a likable guy. And he's just he is the epitome of dream, believe, and make it happen. Dream,
Trying not
believe,
to
and
get hit
make
by
it
the UFC
happen.
production truck right now.
Yeah.
This is we're live,
But-
folks. This is live.
Yeah, it came way closer than I thought it was going to. I had to make a big turn.
We're hearing engines go off.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah,
will go
sorry.
live.
dream, believe, and make it happen. Diego
Bro, he
Lopes.
was so over with the crowd. The crowd loved to, even on his walkout before the finish, the crowd was going nuts for him.
Bro, Diego Lopes is something special. I've been trying to tell everyone this guy is special. He's a different kind of cat. He's got the haircut. I mean, and the guy just goes for it. He goes in there and Sodiq Yusuff and not like grapples him, not like catches him in a submission, just beats the brakes off him on the feet and knocks him out inside a minute and a half. I mean, and this crazy bastard doesn't call out like Ortega or like Yair or somebody. He says, "Nah, give me Evlov, the guy that no one wants to fight, the guy that he almost beat on like a week's notice to make his UFC debut, which was in Newark last year, which is crazy to think. All this he's done has been in less than a year.
That's crazy.
This guy is special talent. We want Evlov on a full camp. We want him on a full camp, and we're gonna beat him. We're gonna beat him, and we want the belt next. I'm dead ass.
I love when Ev gets into promoter mode and he starts throwing around the Wii. That's my favorite Ev.
Or maybe we'll take Yair Ortega just to put a stamp on it. And I love Ortega, so that would be hard for me. That'd be a hard fight for me. But Lopes is my guy through and through.
Speaking,
We'll have
your belt.
Saporia might be tough to beat. So that's a story for another day, though.
Speaking of unbelievable moments on the card, Renato Moicano, he did it again. Jalen Turner, oh my God. You could look at Jalen Turner's entire career, or not career, but just in his time in the UFC. the little things that have like his head kick on Dan Hooker, like if it's an inch different tonight, the way he walked away. But the story is Renato Moicano. He put Joe Rogan has to appear on the podcast.
Yeah, he said you can't refuse.
He booked him. He booked him.
Yeah.
Also,
Listen, he can't afford to lose. He just can't afford to lose.
He said, I love the Constitution.
And at one point, he walked away from Rogan and just started going, USA, USA, USA.
He has mastered marketing in the States.
Yeah.
From the most organic, I was eating steaks and drinking beers in Brazil, to I want to become a cop when I retire so I can fight the bad guys. To just, I love the Constitution. The Bill of Rights is the best.
Honestly, if you transcribed that, it would look like a Trump tweet. I love the Constitution.
I love the Constitution.
Didn't he say, I love property? I love
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he loves the First Amendment, loves property.
Oh my God. He's unbelievable. And, I mean,
Trucks are trying to get in there.
if he just, I saw someone tweet this. I can't remember if it was Magic or maybe it was the Dan Fight Picks. Somebody tweeted out, was like, if he just drops like a Hendo Bisping like power bomb, it's probably over. The fight's, it's a knockout, and he might be one getting a $300K bonus.
Yeah. Fucking crazy. He's gonna regret that. Oh my God, for years to come, missing out on a UFC 300 bonus win, historic moment. I was happy we got the Moicano moment, though. That was perfect.
The way he fell was not the way of a fighter that you would walk away from. He fell
right
on
into
his ass,
guard.
He wasn't out. He got up within like 3 seconds.
His
and was
eyes
on
never even went. It wasn't like his eyes like went, back in his head. Like he was constantly looking at Turner, even when he got dropped.
And it was hurt, obviously, but like,
oh my God, this fucking thing's gonna hit me.
But yeah, Renato, and then I'm trying to think of what else.
Bobby Green.
Andrade Rodriguez was a good scrap.
Andrade, and then we saw Bobby Green and Jim Miller. Jim Miller went on his sword, and then Davison. What's next for Davison? Is it Jan?
I mean,
I like that fight.
I like it too. Yeah, I'd be into that.
Dana also said he saw a picture of Jim Miller's face in the hospital, and he said he looks disgusting. He said he looks horrible.
I mean, Bobby Green beat the brakes off him.
He beat the fuck out of him, yeah.
That was in respect to that, I mean, Bobby Green doing I mean, but he had just been beating up Jim Miller for so long. It almost felt like unfair that he did that.
Yeah.
And there was almost like he called, like it was like you almost like Jim Miller's warrior attitude was almost like a detriment to him in that moment.
Yes.
Because he was like fine, like it's 300, I'll trade, and he just ends up almost getting like slaughtered at the bell, basically, like with like 20 seconds left.
I know he said leading into 300 that like this wasn't his retirement fight. He's like, yeah, I'm fighting pretty well right now. I feel good. I don't think I'm gonna retire. After he got the break speed off him, I was like watching his gloves the whole time, like, oh no, is he gonna take those off? Also, I saw a bunch of comments about like, I guess the new gloves aren't working because the eye pokes. I don't know if you guys have said this on the broadcast. No new gloves tonight. It starts at 3:02.
You could tell that. You could just tell they were the same gloves.
Because the champ fights are going to have gold gloves. That's going to be the big like indicator there.
And the Contender Series got their own gloves too, the blue gloves.
I like that. People are saying they're just ripping off Bellator, but I always like the Bellator blue and red gloves too. And Dana coined a new term tonight. I haven't heard anyone say PFLator, but he kept saying PFLator.
Clever.
Yeah. So there was more people in his green room tonight than at the PFLator show on Friday.
I kind of like the DWCS gloves because it almost kind of like you got to earn those UFC gloves.
Yes.
You got to earn that UFC.
It's like the shorts. They don't let him wear like the Venom shorts or whatever. I'm trying to get away from this beeping noise. I know it's annoying. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Hey, what do you think? What do you think Max should do next? Because we talked about it, where like he probably wants Ilya, but he was pretty set on wanting a stadium show for that one, for the 40 title. And also that he looked so good tonight because he moved up in weight and actually like put on weight for this. So what's your thoughts about what he should do next or who's next?
Before you go, Robbie, I just
Yeah.
want to read this quote from Ilya Taporia. It's clear for me my next fight is against Max Holloway. Congratulations and enjoyed tonight, but after fighting me, he will have to go back in the line. So I mean, Ilya thinks that his next fight will be against Max Holloway.
That's the fight that I want to see the most after tonight. Like, holy fuck, Max Holloway was hitting hard. He looked so good too. His footwork was on point. The way he was working the body, the jabs to the body were so fucking good. Then again, like, am I crazy for saying when he called out Islam in the main event, I was like, oh, I'm there for that too. Like, after seeing the performance he put on against Gaethje, I didn't think he had 155 in him. We talked about it on the show last week. Like, I thought this was going to go similar to the Poirier fight, and 155 was just too big a division for him. Like, I would like to see him against the biggest names at 155 now as well. So, like, the Poirier fight is the one. If I'm saying there's one fight to book him in next, I'd like to see him wait around, have the Poirier fight whenever they can book that. If not, I'd like to see him against anyone in the top 10 at 155. Like, anyone.
But Bob, I agree with you. See, I right away said, like, my first thought immediately was like Islam, because like you're saying top 10. I mean, we talked about it.
Gaethje's what, 3?
Yeah, two. He's 2 at featherweight and lightweight, basically. Now, I mean, like, it's not even like top 10. It's like basically like fight for a belt.
Yeah.
And we were discussing too, basically who he would defend the BMF against. Lee says Charles. He gets Charles.
Oh, that'd be great.
I said I'm into that. I'm definitely into that. That'd be very interesting. But
that'd be one of the biggest like fan favorite fights they've ever booked.
I love the Taporia fight. I just thought he looked so great at 155 and put on such good weight and looked like big, like did not look small, whatever. I said I thought he probably weighed on 175, 180, maybe even in the cage.
And his cut to 145 was bad before tonight. Like, I don't know how that's going to affect him. Yeah.
And he had, remember when we interviewed him in the office, he literally said, like, this changes things obviously, but he had mentioned, like, when I go up, I'll go up for good. Obviously, you got to fight with Taporia after what Taporia did in the Star. He's becoming in Europe. If you get a huge fight in Spain, no brainer, I get it. But this
is crazy. They're already taking down the 300 sign. Sorry to cut you off.
That's unreal. We're really seeing how the sauce is made here. A little production value here.
Bro, the production, they're taking everything down right now.
Wow.
They move quick.
Parts.
I'm standing right where Jiri stood last night. Standing in this courtyard by myself. I think someone just walked up to me to tell me, like, get out of here, but they walked away when they realized I was live. Like, you're good. It's like, nope, get out of jail free card. I'm live. Sorry, buddy.
All right.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna walk back to my hotel. I got an 8 a.m. flight back tomorrow.
Safe travels, Bob.
Safe travels, Bob. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you to everyone for tuning in late. Yeah.
It's 3 a.m. 3:20 on the East Coast. 165. There's another 60 or so across the video platforms, and then also on other video platforms, we got a couple thousand. It's phenomenal. Please follow, subscribe, share it to the friends. We'll be here no matter what, but we'll be here. I think we'll have to have a recap this week too, just kind of like a post recap.
Recap the recap.
Because a lot of things are going to happen. But thank you so much. Shout out New Amsterdam Vodka. It was a phenomenal night, and UFC 300 lived up to the hype.
God bless.